All right, so today we're going to be covering step-by-step licensing guide. This more or less is an informative guide on the 5 steps that all businesses need to go through in order to establish a business here in Southern Nevada. I am your host today, Carlos Mejia Castillo. I'm the lead advisor for the Nevada Small Business Development Center. I manage the office that we have on the north side in North Las Vegas. We're inside the City Hall, Las Vegas Boulevard and Civic Center. You can always reach me via email would be the best way, carlos.mejiacastillo@unlv.edu. The organization that I represent is the Nevada Small Business Development Center. We have been in existence here in Nevada since 1985, and we service not just Southern Nevada, but Northern Nevada and the rural areas as well. Our primary focus is to provide advice and support to aspiring entrepreneurs and current business owners, and we help out at every stage, from startup to growth to exit strategy and everything in between. We're your go-to resources to help your business thrive. Of course, our services are at no cost and confidential to the community. We're powered by the Small Business Administration in collaboration with the universities here in Nevada, primarily UNR and UNLV. In order to access our services, you would need to register visiting our website, www.nevadasbdc.org, or you can always give us a call directly, 702-774-2222. So when someone wants to start a business, we always like to provide as much information so that they know exactly all the steps that are needed in order for their business to be in compliance with every state and licensing agency. Oftentimes, people will find a lot of information online, but there's no real place that will tell you what is the right sequence, what's step 1, and how do I know that I've reached the last step for my business. And this is where this guide and this presentation hopefully becomes helpful and gets you an idea as to what are those steps and the appropriate sequence. So with step number 1, what you're doing is you're giving life to your business. And this kind of starts the whole process. And everything that follows is piggyback offing this first step, which is with the Secretary of State. So the Secretary of State will issue you the state license. Now, there are different fees associated with the different licenses that are available. We have a sole proprietorship at $200. We have an LLC, which is a limited liability company, at $425. We have a corporation as well at $725. There are other entities that one can choose when structuring their business. For example, there are partnerships or general partnerships. There are also nonprofit organizations as well. But for all intents and purposes, these are the 3 most common legal structures that are out there. Now, each one of these is going to come with 2 different things. It's going to come with legal implications, and it's going to come with tax implications. So whenever we're talking to an individual, we always want to look into what are their short, medium, and long-term goals of the business, right? There are certain businesses where it would make a lot of sense to have a license like a sole proprietorship, even though it comes with all of this personal exposure. There's no company umbrella that protects you and your personal assets. But if your business is relatively small and is in a not so high risk environment or industry, it may be prudent for you to start as a sole proprietor. A perfect example of this would be my rideshare drivers. My Uber and Lyft drivers wouldn't necessarily need an LLC or a corporation. A sole proprietorship license would be more than enough. Someone that is just a one-person show and is looking to have a relatively small grassroots operation might be okay to start a sole proprietorship. However, for certain industries, for certain services that are provided, or certain products that are sold, it would make sense to structure either an LLC or a corporation to start, for starters, to start protecting the brand, the integrity of the brand of the company. You could also protect your personal assets. If anything were to happen, any liability, they cannot come after you as an owner, they can go after the company. And so that separation between personal and business is one that ends up being very tempting to many people that want to start something perhaps small, but they want to grow it to its highest potential. Another thing to look at is if you're in a business that is looking to hire people, you're going to be looking more at an LLC or a corporation, just because it gives you that ability to be able to hire, whether that's 1099 or W-2. Another way we can look at this is if you're looking to start a business venture with business partners. You know, if you have 2, 3, 4 different business partners within your organizational structure, then it would make sense for you to go an LLC or a corporation route. As a sole proprietor, those are more or less two of the biggest limitations. You can't employ anyone, nor can you have any business partners. So those are the limitations that we talk to the individuals about. We really get an understanding as to how they want to start the business, where do they want to see the business in the next few years, and ultimately help them make the best decision for them. Now, what you will notice is that depending on the type of license that you select, some of these other steps may or may not be needed. For example, as a sole proprietor, since there is no separation between the individual and the business, there is no need for an employer identification number. The Social Security number of the business could be used also for tax purposes and tax filings on the business as well. However, when you do an LLC or a corporation, these are seen as entities that are completely separate from the members or owners of the business. So if you were to go that route, you would need an EIN for your company. So this is why this first decision that is made is the most important. Not only does it give life to your business, it also tells you what you can and can't do in terms of, you know, operating and growth. And it also lets you know, whether or not some of these next steps that we'll talk about are necessary or not. Of course, we can always sit down with you and walk you through all of these steps to ensure that everything is done appropriately and correctly as well. So once this is all paid for, which the Secretary of State has a website called Silverflume, the applications can be done either physically. If you do the physical application, it takes a few weeks for you to get that license process, just because it has to be sent over to Carson City. However, if you were to do it online through the Silverflume website, the moment that you submit the payment, you will automatically get your state license number and a copy of your state license as well, which is what we would need in order to move on to the next steps. This Silverflume application, our website becomes important because if you were to make any changes, let's say you wanted to change an address, you wanted to add a member into the business, you wanted to take away a member of the business, or you wanted to update the contact person or registered agent of the business, you could do all of that through the Silverflume site, being the fastest way to process those requests. So after step 1, then we go into step 2, which is obtaining an employer identification number. Like I mentioned in the previous section, if you were to choose an LLC and a corporation, you would need to register the business with the IRS with a sole proprietorship. That's not necessary. You could get an EIN, but it's not needed because there is no separation between the individual and the business. The EIN is issued directly through the IRS. You can apply directly on their website, irs.gov. And they're going to ask you a few things. When you go through that application process, they're going to want to know what's your legal structure. Are you a sole proprietor, LLC, corporation, partnership? They're going to want to know how many members are in your company. Is it just one person? Is it multiple people? And what state did you incorporate in? And within the application, you will also need to provide personal information of at least one of the owners. If you have various business partners, you would have to present the information of one of them. If it's just one person, that person would be providing their information. The information that an individual would need to provide would be their complete name, first, middle, last name. They would need to provide their social security number or ITIN number, and then check that they are one of the owners. That information gets submitted online, and then you're presented with an option to either have your EIN be presented to you electronically via a PDF format, or if you want the IRS to send you the EIN through physical mail or snail mail. We always opt to select the electronic version because the same letter that they would have sent to you via physical mail is the same letter that you would receive through the PDF file. Now, it's important that if you choose the electronic version, you will be presented at the very end with your EIN number. Now, what I have a lot of people do is I have a lot of people screenshot that page, or they take out their phone and they take a picture of that page and then they exit out of the application. If you choose to receive your EIN the PDF way, then at the very end, when you're presented your EIN, there will be a link that says, click here to view your EIN PDF. You will need to click on that link. It's going to open up a tab with your EIN letter. It's a 2-page document. You would need to save that, save it to your computer, print it out, email it to you, do whatever you need to do in order to get a copy of that document. Because if you are not able to, and you need a copy for any reason, you need to reach out to the IRS directly. And if anyone has reached out to the IRS recently, it's a little hard to get a hold of them via phone. So just as a precautionary measure and an FYI, you can always download that document, save it to your computer, print it out so that you can have a record for it. Now, this process is completely free. There are third-party companies out there that make it seem as if you're going into the IRS website. And the biggest red flag for you should be that if at any point during an EIN application, it's asking you to make a payment, I recommend that you don't move forward with it. Don't make the payment because this is completely free. As long as you are doing the application Monday through Friday between 8 to 5, so normal office hours, you should be good to go and you should be able to receive this no problem. So at this point, after getting the EIN, we would have two things at hand. We would have your state license and your state license number, and we would also have your EIN number as well, which I forgot to mention. This EIN serves for various purposes. So the EIN can help you with hiring people. If you were to hire someone as a 1099 or a W-2 worker, you have to present them with the proper forms, whether that's a W-4 or a W-9 form. And in there, you would be essentially putting the company's EIN number so that the IRS knows that your company is employing this individual. The EIN is also used to opening up a commercial bank account for your business. So independently as to what bank you go to, every bank is going to want to see your state license and your EIN as well. This number is also going to be the number that will be used in order to declare taxes, federal taxes for the business. And just like how, we as individuals have individual numbers that we use to declare taxes, now the business will have its own way of declaring as well. And just like how our numbers are used to establish credit history, personal credit history, you could also use the EIN to establish business credit history as well, which is important. The more credit history the business has, the less personal information they may be seeking from you as an owner. So after getting your state license number, after getting your EIN, which those two steps are immediate. Since it's done online, the moment you pay for your state license, you get it right away. The moment we apply for your EIN number, if we select that, PDF option, we'll get your EIN right away. And with these two, now we can continue on with the Nevada Department of Taxation. Not a lot of people know about this department. It always comes as a surprise to certain people that we talk to, just because the Department of Taxation, every state has one. Most people recognize that they have a tax responsibility with the IRS, but not everyone knows that there may be a tax responsibility with the state. And that is where this department comes into play. Now, independently as to whether you are selling any tangible products or if you're providing a service, your business needs to register with the Department of Taxation. Now, this is the department that whenever we go to the store and we're buying something, we're paying the tax to the store, right? Traditionally, in Clark County, we have a sales tax rate of 8.375%. That's essentially what we pay to the store, and then the store holds on to that tax and passes it along to this particular department. The same responsibility would pertain to you and your business. If you are selling any tangible products, for example, if you have a retail store where you're selling clothing, or if you're a food establishment and you're selling, plates of food, you would need to register with the Department of Taxation, and you would be applying for what's called a seller's permit. The seller's permit allows you to sell tangible products to the community and be able to collect the tax on behalf of the state. With this department, you're going to have to do a filing every month or every 3 months, depending on how much money you're generating. If your business is generating over $10,000 a month, it's every month that they want to hear from you. However, if you are making less than $10,000 a month, you have to report every quarter. When that time comes, if you have a seller's permit, the $1 million question that they're going to ask you, and when I say they, I mean this department, is going to be how much money did you make in the last month or in the last 3 months? Because of whatever money you made, you owe the state that 8.375 in taxes. So for a business that conducts sales of tangible goods, it is important to understand where is that tax coming from, right? I always like to tell people that taxes are always going to come out of one of two pockets. It's either going to come from the business's pocket or from the customer's pocket. And 1,000 times it has to come out of the customer's pocket. So this is where pricing, this is where knowing what is taxable, what is not taxable, all of that becomes important so that you know that you are paying for the things that are taxable and that you are paying the right amount that you collected from your clients so that your profit margins are not being eaten up. Now, let's say that you have a service-based business. Let's say that you are a landscaping company or a pest control company or even a handyman service. If you are simply conducting a service, if you are not selling any tangible goods, then you would be registering for what's called a use tax permit. So in the state, there are no taxes imposed on services. However, you still need to register with this department and you still need to do a filing every month or every 3 months. If you're a service-based business, your declaration would be zero. Because independently as to how much money you made throughout the year, if it was strictly on services, you don't owe the state anything in taxes. You would owe the IRS in taxes. But this is more than anything, it's a formality if you're a service-based businesses. There will be varying information if you were to go online. There's some places that will tell you you have to register. There are other places that will tell you that you absolutely do not need to register. But I will let you know that as we're following this sequence and as you are registering with other entities, this is going to become something that is going to be asked of you, right? As you register with the different municipalities and the different cities that you want to conduct business out of, you need to present them with an appropriate, appropriate documentation that shows that your business has been started in an appropriate manner. And one of the documents that you have to present is your registration with the Department of Taxation, that being either your seller's permit or your use tax permit. So if you're really indecisive or if you really do not want to register to this department, I recommend that you reach out to the Department of Taxation. If they tell you that your business is one that does not need to register with them, I would ask that they put that on writing. If you can email them, if they can email you, because you are going to have to present something to the cities or municipalities later on. Now, pricing wise, if you were to register for a seller's permit, it's a one-time $15 fee, $15.33 in total. For a use tax permit, which is for the service-based businesses, it's completely free. They don't charge anything for that. The registration for either one of these permits is also done online. There is a Department of Taxation online portal where we would help you register. We would help you register your company, and also if there is a payment that needs to be made for the seller's permit, it would be done through there. Afterwards, it would take approximately 3 to 5 business days for you to receive that either seller's or use tax permit in the mail. So they actually send it to you via physical mail. So with this in mind, these first 3 steps, registering with the Secretary of State and obtaining your state license, getting your EIN from the IRS, and registering your business with the Department of Taxation, that could all be done in one go. And ideally, it would be in that sequence, right? By the time that we get to the Department of Taxation and you're registering your business with them, they're going to want to know 2 bits of information. What is your state license number and what is your EIN? So that's why we do those first, so that we have that information that they'll ask you for in this process. After submitting the application, you're waiting for 3 to 5 business days, but there's still something else that can be done in the interim as you're waiting for that permit to come in the mail, which would take us to step number 4. That being obtaining a fictitious firm name or a DBA, which is just a fancy way to say doing business as. So this is a requirement imposed by Clark County as a whole. So Clark County has a requirement that says that if you are going to be conducting business using a name that is not your legal name, you need to register that as a DBA for your company. Every DBA has a fee of $25 and is valid for 5 years. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that I am starting my a food truck business, and I'm an LLC, and the legal name of my business, the name that I use to register with the Secretary of State is Mejia Enterprises LLC. It's a very general name, right? Now, let's say I don't want to market as that. I want to market as Mejia's Taco Shop. Well, since that is the name that I want to use to market, then that would become my DBA. So the way that this would read is we always use the legal name first. So Mejia's Enterprise LLC, DBA, or doing business as Mejia Taco Shop, right? So the DBA is just another name that I want to use that is perhaps different from my legal name personally, and the legal name of my company. Now, I'll give you another example. Let's say that I become a sole proprietor, right? And I'm going to be conducting handyman services. As a sole proprietor, because there is no company, you are the company, the legal name of the business becomes your name. So if I were to become a sole proprietor, my license would say Carlos Mejia Castillo. That is the name that would be reflected on my driver's license, right? So those two need to match. However, I don't want to market as my legal name, right? I want to market as Mejia's Handyman Service. Well, same concept. It would be Carlos Mejia Castillo doing business as Mejia's Handyman Service. You can have as many DBAs as you want under your umbrella of your state license. The DBAs are nothing more than names. So that is a common misconception that people have. People think that if they register a DBA, they're creating a separate entity of the company. That's absolutely not the case. What you are doing is you are creating a different way to present your company, but it's the same company, right? Now, people use this to test the waters on certain aspects of their business, right? Like if I am a janitorial company that hasn't provided any floor cleaning services in the past, but now I want to start introducing those services, but I want to introduce that under its own brand, right? I could register a DBA just for the floor cleaning aspect alone, but eventually, if that part of the business is growing tremendously and I want to let it grow organically and let it grow on its own, eventually you're going to want to separate that and perhaps create its own entity. So that's one way it could be used. Or if you just want to have separations between the company to distinguish what you're selling here versus what you're offering over there, that's another way that you can use it. Just keep in mind, $25 for 5 years. As you're nearing the 4.5-year mark, they're going to be reaching out to you to see if you want to renew that name. You would pay another $25. So as you're waiting for the Department of Taxation permit to come in the mail, and that would take about 3 to 5 business days, you could, and we would provide you with the DBA form so that you can go and submit this to the Marriage Bureau, which is off Clark Street, downtown area. So that office, the Marriage Bureau, is open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to midnight. So you can go at any time. And we do it in this sequence so that as you're waiting for that permit, there's still some things that you can do to, speed up the process. Eventually, once you get your Department of Taxation permit in the mail and you've registered your DBA, you would have 4 things at hand now. You would have your state license, your EIN, your permit from the Department of Taxation, and your DBA would be registered too. With those 4 things, now you have what you need in order to start a business bank account. So at any bank, regardless as to which one you favor or you want to open up your account with, you would present them with these 4 documents, and that would be enough for you to start that relationship with that bank, respectively. At this particular point, now we're nearing the very end, right? Now that we have these 4 things at hand, we can look at step 5, which is the local license. Now, this usually becomes a little confusing because people think state license, I got my state license, I have everything that I need in order to operate in the state. That's absolutely not true. Your state license gives life to your business. The way that I explain it is your state license says 3 things. It says that your business is here in Nevada. It says what your legal structure is. Are you a sole proprietor, LLC, corporation, partnership, nonprofit? It specifies that. And it also specifies who are the members or who are the owners of the business. That's it. What your state license fails to acknowledge is, what does your business actually do? That's where the local license come into play. The Valley is divided into 5 different jurisdictions. We have North Las Vegas, we have the city of Las Vegas, we have Clark County, we have Henderson, we have Boulder City, and we have Mesquite as well, just to name a few here in Southern Nevada. Now, and I wanna, let's see, did I incorporate a map? Yes, I did. Perfect. So this gives us a visual of how the areas are divided, right? Now, every area that I mentioned has its corresponding licensing department. So if you want to conduct business in any of these areas, you need to have an appropriate license for each one. Now, I know what you may be thinking, right? Do I need to get every single license? It depends. You may need to get every single license that depending on what you do with your business and if you're a mobile business. If you're at a fixed location where you're not going to your clients, rather your clients are coming to you, then you are only needing 1 license that is tied to the location of the business. This is where it becomes important, right? Depending on where your business will be located, that is your principal jurisdiction. So, for example, I'm here in North Las Vegas. Let's say that I start my business and I use my home address, and my home address is here in North Las Vegas, but I have the great majority of my clientele is in Henderson. Can I, after getting the first 4 things, can I go and get my Henderson license first? Because that's really the one that I need. The answer is no. You first need to get the appropriate license that is tied to the physical location of your business. So in this particular example, since my business is using my home address as the physical location of the company, and that address happens to fall in the city of North Las Vegas, I need to first apply for the city of North Las Vegas. That is my principal jurisdiction. The moment that I receive my city of North Las Vegas license, now I can apply for any other license that I want. I can apply for all of them if I were to choose that, or I can select the areas that I want to really focus on, or the areas where I have, the most clients in. But you first need that principal jurisdiction. That's going to become important. Now, of course, since every single jurisdiction has its own licensing department, this would be the contact information for every jurisdiction. It is always recommended that you reach out to them, that you inquire about what type of license you would need. what is the turnaround time on those applications to be processed and for a license to be issued. And also you want to have an understanding as to the type of license that you are applying for. Every jurisdiction has different licensing categories. So there are general licenses where you submit an application, you present your documentation of the previous 4 steps that were completed, you pay a corresponding fee, and you're able to receive a license. It's a very straightforward process. However, there are other licenses that fall under a privilege or regulated category, which means that the process itself becomes longer and a little bit more complex, because anytime that you fall onto either one of these categories, you're having to go through a background check, you're having to go get your fingerprints taken by the corresponding police department. That's going to be key, because if you are applying for a privilege or regulated license in North Las Vegas, you would need to get your fingerprints taken with North Las Vegas PD. If you're at Henderson, it would be Henderson PD. But if you're anywhere between the city or Clark County, you would need to go over with Metro. There are also certain licenses that have specific requirements. The ones that come to mind are food trucks, for example. If you are registering as a food truck and you're registering in North Las Vegas, in Clark County, or in Henderson, those are considered privileged licenses or regulated licenses. So that process becomes a little bit more extensive than at the city of Las Vegas, for example, where their license is regulated. That is not uncommon. What you will see is that you will have certain jurisdictions have a license be general, and you're able to receive that license right away. And there will be other jurisdictions that are privileged or they're regulated. Even though it's the same license, it's the same category, you're doing the same services, the rules change from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So that is why we always suggest that you reach out to them directly in order to get the most information related to the license that you're applying for. Now, just as equally as important as the licensing departments are for the jurisdictions, so are the zoning and planning departments. Every business license application that is submitted to these jurisdictions will be evaluated by these 2 departments. You will have the licensing department that reviews it, and you will have the Department of Zoning and Planning that reviews it. Now, this is where things can go a bit downhill if the due diligence is not done correctly. There are many instances where I see people that become enamored with a particular location. It has the right square footage, it has the right fixtures, it is at an appropriate cross street, just where they want to be at. And so they are excited and they sign off on a lease. Now they're committing 5, 8, 10 years on a lease. They submit their application for their licensing application for the appropriate city or municipality. And then zoning and planning comes back and says, this place is not zoned for your type of business, which becomes a problem because now you're needing to either one, renovate the location, invest money into getting it up to code and compliance so that you can have your business there, or you're figuring out how do you break this lease because I'm not willing or wanting to invest money into this location that doesn't belong to me. So it is always important that before, if you're going to be acquiring a physical location, an office space, let's say you want to put on a showroom, you're trying to set up for a cafe or anything food related, before you sign off on the lease, you would need the address. Let's verify in what jurisdiction your address is in. And then it would be a matter of reaching out to the appropriate zoning and planning department. When you reach out to them, you would give them the address of the location that you're interested in. You would let them know that you intend to put, this type of business, whatever business you have in mind, in that location. And this department will let you know whether or not that is allowed. This is going to save you a lot of time, energy, and headaches. Not a lot of people know about this. Not a lot of people know that you can actually inquire on the zoning of a location before you commit to a lease. I know from firsthand experience, you try talking to certain commercial realtors, to landlords, they may not have a clue, right? And it's not necessarily their responsibility to know or to be able to direct you, but it is your responsibility to have that due diligence and know that before you commit to this, you first need to make sure that it's okay with the corresponding agencies that need to give you their blessing, right? So these two are going to be important: zoning and planning and licensing. Now, once you have your local license, then your business is technically, complete. You have everything that you need in order to conduct business in that appropriate area, right? So going back to the map, if my business is here in North Las Vegas, say I'm a food truck, right? And my commissary kitchen is here in North Las Vegas, then I would register for my North Las Vegas license first. The moment that I receive my North Las Vegas license, I am able to conduct business only in North Las Vegas. I am not able to go to the city of Las Vegas. I am not able to go to Clark County or Henderson until the moment that I have an appropriate license from them. Now, sticking to the food aspect, I get a lot of questions about, what about events? What about special events that come in once a year? We have a lot of food events, festivals, different things for the Heritage Month. What about in those cases? Am I able to participate in those events? And really, the answer is it depends on the organizers. There will be organizers that will get a permit that will cover all of their vendors. So you pay a fee to the organizers, and they essentially will cover you under their license. Now, there will be other instances where the organizers will want to see that you have an appropriate license for the area wherever the event or farmers market or festival is happening out of. So it's one of those case-by-case basis. But if we're excluding any special events or festivals or anything like that, if you're a mobile business, you would need a license for every single area that you're conducting business out of. If you are, let's say, stuck in just one physical location, let's say that you're a retail business, right? Maybe you have a boutique, a clothing boutique. Maybe you're a a medical facility even. If you're not mobile, if you're not traveling to where your clients are, you're just staying put and having the clients come to you, you only need one license for the area that corresponds to you. Now, if you were to ever move to another location, and let's say that that new location is in the same area where you already have a license, all that needs to happen is just you change the address. So you update your license at that point. However, if you were in North Las Vegas and now you're moving your store to the city of Las Vegas, you need to cancel your North Las Vegas license and then get a City of Las Vegas license. So a little confusing, I know, especially as we divide the areas into different parts. But the most important thing is just to know that you will have certain responsibilities of letting these cities know that you're entering their boundaries and that you're conducting business within their boundaries as well. On the note of the local licenses, there will be certain instances where special permits or additional permits will be needed in order for you to be able to conduct business. A perfect example of this is anything related to food. If you are a food truck, a food caterer, if you are selling at the farmers markets, anything like that, anything food related, you're going to need a permit from the Southern Nevada Health District. Now, if your business is one that requires a special permit, you would need to get that special permit before you get your local license. So the first 4 steps will always stay intact. You would get your state license, your EIN, register with the Department of Taxation, getting your DBA. That's universal. That's never going to go away. That is the sequence that is going to be followed. However, if you are a food-related business, before you jump to the local license, you will first need to get your permit from the health department. Let's say that you're a tattoo artist. You will first need to get a permanent art card or permit, also from the Southern Nevada Health District, before you can go and open up your tattoo shop. If you're in a construction trade, let's say that you are someone that installs flooring, or if you're a residential remodeler, you will need to get a contractor's license first before you can get your local licenses. Anything that is related to health would go through the Department of Behavioral Health and Human Services. If you are transporting pretty much anything, transportation is very regulated here in the state of Nevada, especially if you're transporting people or household goods. So my limousines, my party buses, my moving companies, those people need to get a special permit. It's called a CPCN, a Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity, from the Nevada Transportation Authority. Most people know about DOT or NDOT, the Nevada Department of Transportation, or the Department of Transportation, period. Now, the Department of Transportation regulates the roads. The NTA, the Nevada Transportation Authority, regulates who gets to use the roads. So these 2 businesses that I mentioned, any business that transports people or household goods, so if you're a moving company that does strictly residential work, if you're not doing any sort of commercial moving, then you fall under the purview of the NTA. That is a special permit that you need to get before you can get your local licenses. And there are so many other ones, right? Anything that falls under the medical field or the medical industry, you would need a special permit from your regulatory board. And the thing about the state of Nevada is that there's so many regulatory boards that are out there. If you're an accountant, there is a board for certified public accountants, right? Massage therapists, anything that needs a special or a professional permit to exercise that particular skill set or job, then you would need to get that first before you can actually be allowed to provide those services to the community. And that's where we come along, right? So as people are navigating these processes and they don't really know whether their licenses would be regulated or if they would be privileged, or if they need an additional license or permit in order to conduct business in the way that they want to conduct, we can come in, we can get an understanding as to what the situation is at hand and be able to provide the appropriate information so that everyone knows everything that needs to happen in order for their business to be fully established. Now, you complete the first 4 steps, you get your special permit if there is a need for a special permit, you get your local licenses. Now you're in compliance. Now you can start working, you can start providing your services or selling your products as long as you are staying in compliance with the licenses that you have at hand. Keep in mind, it is going to be super important for you to be in the know of when your expiration dates are for your licenses. Your state license is always going to be an annual license. It doesn't matter what kind of license you get. Whenever you get it, let's say that you were to get a license on January 1st of any given year, your license will expire January 31st of the following year, and it would keep that same expiration date until the end of time, until you either close the business or just let it go, right? But that will always be the renewal date altogether. Now, for your local licenses, those are a little tricky. Some licenses are annual, some of them are semi-annual, but not every license follows a normal calendar year or start from the month that you got it and then a year from there. Some of them follow a fiscal year. For example, for the Southern Nevada Health District, if I am not mistaken, their licenses are from July to June. So if you were to apply for a license, let's say in January, your license would be good until June, and then you would have to renew it in June so that you could have it from July up until next June. There are other local licenses where you have, every June and every December, you have to, renew it. So others are from March to February, right? And we've had instances where people apply for a license in February, and these departments will give you a license in February, but just as they're giving you the license, they'll also send you a renewal notice because your license is just so happens to be up for renewal because it starts again in March. So just be conscious about that. That's going to be the best way for you to save, once again, time, energy, and a little bit of money too. So that's where we can definitely facilitate that information on the dates, renewal periods, but also reaching out to the corresponding licensing departments will give you that bit of information as well. And that is it. I mean, that is the process for you to start a business in Southern Nevada from beginning to end. Like I said, independently as to what type of business you want to start, whether you're selling any tangible goods or if you're providing a service, you would need to follow, these steps. Depending on the areas that you're servicing, you may need multiple local licenses. Do you need all of them all at once? No. We always try to prioritize the ones that you definitely need, which we know that since it's tied to the physical location of the business, whatever address you will be using as the physical location of the company, that's going to be your primary jurisdiction. That is going to be the first license that you're going to need. And, for any special permit that's needed, any health permit applications through the Southern Nevada Health District, contractor permits, any of those, childcare, home health, anything like that, we can also help you and walk you step by step. If not help you, then definitely be able to point you in the right directions to ensure that your questions are being answered. So that is the process. And like I said, the Small Business Development Center is here to help you. Visiting our website, nevadasbdc.org. You can register for our services. You can also, view this video, view some of the other modules that are going to be up that talk to you about how to start, a business, how to set up a website, what's the difference between the various legal structures, what's an LLC, what's a sole proprietor. So keep us in mind. We'd be more than happy to help you either embark in your next business venture or help you with the growth and success of your current business venture.
Carlos, thank you very much. That was very thorough. Let me see if I can recap really fast that pretty much the first 4 things that need to be done can be done at one time. Is that fair to say?
Yes, yes. So definitely, the first 3, so the state license, EIN, Department of Taxation, that could all be done in one go just because it's all electronic, right? But as you're waiting for that permit to come in the mail, that's where you can go and do the DBA so that you're not stalling or you don't have that sense that maybe the progress just put to a hard stop. You can go to the DBA so that by the time that the DBA is taken care of, you'll be getting that in the mail, and then we can proceed with the next steps onward.
And people can actually do this themselves. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, there's a lot of resources out there, right? So, like the Secretary of State has a how-to videos that tell you, this is how you set up a sole proprietorship and LLC. I believe they have them both in English and in Spanish. The only thing is that since they're using very technical language, sometimes it's a little hard to really understand what they are saying. It's very good if you just want to see a visual of like, this is what the application looks like, and these are the things that I have to fill out. So that's one of the things that we sometimes recommend to people. So if you haven't seen the application for the first time, check out the how-to videos first. And then if you really feel like you need someone to walk you through the process, then that's where we can come in.
Yeah, and the videos are on YouTube, and I do recommend if you feel uncomfortable going through it yourself, that is one of the best reasons that you want to make sure that you are a client of the Small Business Development Center. You will have the chance to be connected with an advisor, and you can have one-on-one discussions with that person, but also you've now got some support to walk you through the process. So don't get discouraged. Don't look at something and go, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. It really isn't, but it can feel that way when you're doing it for the first time. So I'm going to encourage you to please, this particular training video will be in the UNR extension, and it will be set there for you to go back and take a look at whatever you would like to look at. You can also make sure that you get in touch with the Small Business Development Center. That's something that I highly recommend. And get yourself an advisor, because it's not just for the licensing. The advisor is going to be there to support you in your business journey. From, I'm not sure I'm going to go into business, I'm not sure what I want to do next, all the way through, I am on track, doing the things that I need to do that makes my business successful. So Carlos, thank you so much.
No, absolutely. And, just as a one more plug, right? And thank you for everything that you said, Brenda. But, I think that one of the things that truly, truly, puts us aside from, other resources that are out there is the fact that we have people in different areas of expertise, right? So we have people that have experience in different industries. We have within our Rolodex, we have, resource partners that facilitate educational workshops, right, such as UNR extension with Brenda's team, to educate the people and inform them of the stuff that they need to know in order to keep their business afloat and keep a successful business in motion. But also, the fact that this is, we highlighted here, it's at no cost and confidential, but this is really your taxpayer dollars coming back to you, right? So this is something that you've already contributed towards, powered by the SBA, federal agency that regulates us, you're powered by the, two higher ed staples here in the state, having access to the resources that those universities have to their disposal, and being able to facilitate the access to that to our clients is really something that you're not going to find anywhere else. So for anyone that is really looking for a different lens to look at their business, that's really what we're offering to you. But the simplest way to put it, we're looking at your business from a different angle, and sometimes that's good because we're able to not be boxed in and maybe see things from a different perspective, to present that to you for the sake of a good discussion, and hopefully to find ways to make the business even better than where it is now.
Absolutely. Well, Carlos, again, thank you so much. This was very thorough, and I so appreciate it. And I know the people who get the chance to actually go through this will appreciate it also. So
absolutely.
Thank you for all that you've done. Greatly appreciate it.
Of course. Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye now.
Bye-bye.